Thanks for joining us again. This is part 2. We're going to go through the details of the box and start parameterizing everything. Create a spreadsheet and go from there. And then we're going to pad these, and they have to be reversed. Let's go into our X-ray view, and they only need to go down 7 millimeters. Oh, come all the way through the bottom. I'm going to make them 8 millimeters so they actually cut into the bottom. Let's just look here. Yep, they appear to be perfect. And once more, as is, this way. All we need to do then is to line up those holes so they're central around those holes, and we're going to do that when we set them up to be parametric, so we will worry about that in a little bit. So now what we're going to do, we're going to draw a datum plane, because what I want to do is do the sketch on the datum plane, be able to still see this block here to give me an idea of how much of a cutout I want to put in. So to do that, I'm going to turn on the origin for this body, so make sure it's this body, and I'm going to turn on the origin there. That gives me all these planes, and I pick this plane on its own. And I'm going to create a datum plane, so it's on the plane's face. I'm just going to offset it in the Z direction. I'm just going to let it come to the other side of that block there, so I'm just going to keep going. You'll see it actually pass the block. Anywhere in there is good. Say OK. I'm going to turn off that origin just so it's not so messy. I'm going to select that datum plane, and then I'm going to create a sketch which will automatically be on that plane. And then I'm going to choose my sectional view, and I can zoom in here. I'm going to turn off that datum plane now because it's obscuring my view. And if I just tilt that up, you can see, I can see this block is the right block. So now I'm going to make a cutout, and this one's going to be just a regular rectangle. And I'm going to cut it out just this size like this. I can come below there. That'll be good. Give it some dimensions just so we got something to play with. Got a dimension from there to there. And I'm going to dimension from there to there. Say close for that one. Then I'm going to make that cutout, and I'm going to cut out up the face, this face, and there we have a cutout, which may be too big at the moment, but we have a cutout. Say OK. And that only needs to be the size to get those wires through, so I'll probably make that smaller. And then we want to cut out on the other side to do the same thing. Now what might be smart is if we made that cutout come out through the top as well. So we're going to have a think about that. That's part of the design, but for now we're going to do the same thing here with a datum plane. So we're just going to turn on these again. Select this one. And I'll just put that in the middle so you can see what I'm doing. So I selected that plane, and I hit datum plane, so it automatically attaches to this plane. Offset it in the Z direction, and watch it come back. So that comes between those two. Good. Okay, turn off that origin again, select that plane, draw a sketch, and we're going to turn off that datum plane, and we're going to select this, and that's actually not the way around we wanted it to be, so I'm going to turn that back on. So we're actually, even though we're over there, we're actually going to be looking through this tiny hole. So I'm going to draw my square back in here. I'll turn it back on. There's my square. And now give that a dimension. And I'm going to give this one a dimension. And then I'm going to go across there. That dimension. And I'm going to go across there with that dimension. Say close. I'm going to say pocket. And I'm going to say up to face. I'm going to select this face. And there we have a hole. So those are the wires coming in from the side. The wires coming out through the top can come out through the lid. Or we could lip down this side. That will come out there a bit. But there are wires literally coming out through here, so I think they're going to have to go through the lid. Okay, so I think for the base, that's basically it. We could put holes in there if we wanted to for airflow. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my lid so that it actually stands off this box. And then I'm going to have airflow coming up under the lid, because if I cut out the sides, the dust is all going to get in there, and I don't really want that. I've already got cutouts for these cables. I really don't want any more than that. So I think we're good. Now let's look at how do we make this parametric such that we can adjust it. We also want to tie, parametrically, we want to tie these holes to the fixing holes. We want to tie this height to this height. And we want to tie the position of this to the position of this, and the position of this to the position of this. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to put together the dimensions for the PCB board. So let's go into the spreadsheet workbench, start a new spreadsheet, and let's start with some dimensions. So let's go into our first sketch for our PCB board, and that sketch has the width and the length, so let's put those in. What we're going to do is we're going to call it PCB width, PCB length, PCB hole diameter, PCB. Let's have a look again at our sketch. We want these dimensions, so hole center width, hole center length. And I'm going to change these dimensions so they're coming off the center point, because that's how I did them in the box is going to make it easier. So let's do that. PCB hole center width. Just widen that column so I can see that. PCB hole center length. And I think that should get us to where we want to go. Now, we know that we can alias these individually, or we can use the easy alias macro. Some people have said they couldn't find the easy alias macro, and I have posted links to it. I'll post a link to it in the comment of this video. Okay, so the easy alias part, I didn't realize you cannot have a dash in the name. So I'm taking those dashes out. It doesn't like that to make an alias with, so I'm fixing that right now. I want it to be PCB dash, but you can't. So I'll just say PCB and just say hole center. And then we can select them all and run our easy alias, and it is working perfectly well. Okay, great. So let's have a look here at my dimensions. So I know that it needs to be 101.6 is the actual dimension. And I know my PCB length is 127. So those are for sure. My hole diameter was 4 millimeters. That's fine. My center, I'm going to just switch that in this sketch. I'm going to do that real quick. So I originally dimensioned them from the outside edge, but I actually want to dimension them from the center. So I'm going to do that. Turn on my center point again. Give it a dimension from here to here. Oh, not there. To that point. And give this one a dimension from here to here. And we are good to go. So 40.8 is my width center. And the other one appears to be a negative 53.5. No, if that has to stay negative, so we're going to go with that. And then we have to assign them, so let's do that. It's just a matter of going through each one and assigning it. We can name our spreadsheet and then go by the name, but I'm just going to, everything's got in one spreadsheet, so this is going to be PCB hole center width. Like it. And this one's going to be, let's see if that does need to be negative. Spreadsheet PCB hole center length. Okay, and see if it turns us inside out. Yes, it does. Is that a problem? I don't know. This one is going to be PCB length. Perfect. And then this one. So you get the idea. I'm not going to make you watch me do every single one. I'm going to run through them, get them done, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so what I've done is I've created the whole PCB with all the components are now parametric. And all I did is for each component, I called it component 1, component 2, component 3, component 4, and I had a width, a length, a center width, and a center length. And one thing I do is even if the component looks wider than it is high, I still keep the length in the same direction and the width in the same direction. That way, I keep my length and width in order. I know which way I'm going, because if you switch them around, you might not know if you're looking at a width or a length. So I always keep the length up and down, the width side to side, based on that original PCB board. So you should do something similar just to keep things organized. It's important that you can keep all of this organized so that you can make the parametrics work properly. Okay, so I have gone through the entire spreadsheet and set up all of the parameters that we needed. I created the lower box, and most of this box is calculated from this PCB. So if you look at the PCB components, all I did is I named each component, component 1, component 2, component 3, component 4. And then I offset everything based on that. So I have the size of the PCB, which gives us that width, and the length. So we have the clearance. I created the wall thickness and basically created everything. So now that if I change this PCB size, my box will change automatically. If I change my component sizes, my cutouts will change, and everything is working the way that I expected it to. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a lid. And my lid design is going to be one that has a lid on top, but I want airflow that runs up and under. So I'm going to have a lip that overhangs here. I'm going to position the box on top. I may create some lugs in the corners for screws, but I don't think I want to screw the lid on. I think I can just leave the lid sitting on there. I may look at that, so I'm gonna take a look at that. But for now, let's go ahead and we'll create the lid, and then we'll see if we want to add that afterwards. So I'm going to go back to the enclosure here, create a new part and a new body, and I'm going to call this box lid. And then making sure my new body is my active one, I'm going to create a sketch, and that sketch is going to be on the XY plane as well. And then I'm going to create a lid over top of here. So I'm going to just switch to my sectional view so I can see my center point here. And I'm going to use this new feature that's in 020, the centered rectangle. So I'm going to click on that. If you're not using 020 and you want to create this same effect, what you're going to do is you'll create a regular rectangle, and then you'll just make that centered around the middle using your symmetry constraints. So you'll select this point, center point, and hit the symmetry. And that will give you that exact same thing, just more clicks. So I've created my lid, and then I want my lid is going to overhang, and I'm going to create inside my lid So I'm going to create a piece that holds it off from the edge, but doesn't fit snugly on there. So it's just going to sit over top. It's going to have some cutouts for these components. These two are the ones that come out through the top. So the wires are going to come out through the top. And that will be about it. So I'm going to use the same kind of technique that I used to make the box to make the lid. So I'm going to close that now. Actually, I'm going to add the dimensions for that first. Let's do that first. So I'm actually thinking out loud here a little bit. We're going to click that one. We're going to move in here. I'm going to close my spreadsheet for a little bit. Give you a little chance to see a bit more here. So I'm actually going to give this a dimension. And I'm going to give this a dimension. Just so we got it constrained. Then I'm going to close that. And I'm going to pad it. And now you can see that my pad is in the wrong place. And if I want to see that lid actually on my product or on my box here, I should probably offset that. So we'll probably do that. I'm going to make the lid a bit thicker. And I'm going up from this plane. So remember we made the box 2 directions. I'm just going to make the lid 1 direction. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go in here to this sketch. I'm just going to offset its Z position. I'll offset it by 10, I think. Did I go 10 up there? I think I did. Let's take a look. Nope, I must have gone more than that. There we go, 15. It looks like I went to the top. So I want to do that plus my thickness of my lid, which is 15. So I think I want to go 30 up. And I'll put my lid. My lid is now sitting right on that edge there. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in here 5 millimeters. So I'm actually going to lower that to 25 millimeters. So now my lid is overlapping a little bit, which is what I actually want. And we're looking good. I'm going to make a save there. Then we'll move on to cut out the center point. We're going to, or the center part of the lid. To give it a hollow, we're going to just do the exact same thing we did with this box. So just using the same technique to cut out the lid recess here. So I took this shape, created another shape, did a Boolean, cut it out, and then I just cut a couple of pockets in the top that allow us to take the wires out through the top here. And then what I need to do is to parametrically build this, the dimensions for this. I have dimensioned it as all constrained, but it's not parametric yet. So I need to make the lid parametric so that the lid and the base are always aligned. Now, one thing I will show you, I created, if I go into the wireframe, you can see the lid recess is actually higher than the lip of the box. What I'm going to do is put some standoffs here just to hold it up, because I want to get the air to flow up inside. Now, of course, it's going to flow through here too, but this will be full of wires, so I don't think we're going to have a great airflow there. So I'm going to, instead of letting it just be here, I'm going to have the airflow up into here. And I'll have a standoff here and here, and a standoff from this face to the top lip of this edge, so that the lid stands a little bit higher than the box and the air can flow around the bottom. And then, like I said, I'm going to consider screwing the lid top down, but I really don't think I need to, so I'm not sure I'm going to bother with that. So let's go ahead now and create some standoffs that go from here to here and here to here, just to keep that box aligned. In fact, I think we could do 4 and just do them from the centers here and here and here, and that'll just drop it in. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. So for that, I think I'm going to turn off the lower box, turn off the PCB, and we're going to work inside this box. We're going to create a standoff here. And just so you can see what I'm doing, I am going to create a drawing on the XY plane. And I'm going to flip this over just so I can draw. I'm actually going to be drawing on this plane here. But I want to see the box from here, so I'm just going to go like this. I'm literally going to do a piece that stands up here, piece that stands up here, piece that stands up here, and a piece that stands up here. So those are going to be the initial standoffs, and I'm going to make them all the same across here. So those are all going to be equal. And I'm going to make these equal too. So I don't have to dimension everything separately. Let's just go into that one so we can see it's an overlap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a dimension. It's going to be like 4 millimeters, something like that. So it's just a little skinny guy. And I think with these ones, I'm going to make these symmetrical around that center. Pick those points, pick these points. Select line. I actually want to select the point, so I'm going to just flip it now. Hit that guy. Now I should be able to select that point, but I'm not able to, so I'm going to flip it around. Top is there. Now I can get to those points. I was coming from the back, and I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm just going to make that symmetrical around there. Back in the middle. I'm going to make these ones symmetrical around here. And we'll do the same for these guys. This one, and this line. Okay, so that just aligns them that way. Give this one a dimension for its length. This flipped up the other way, so let's just flip that all the way over. Like that, like that. There you go, that puts my dimensions up the right way. And that should be good. These are all the same. So it's a matter of where they are from here to here. Here to here. That's two of them constrained. And I'm going to make these the same. And then this one from here to here. And finally, this one from here to here. And there they're all constrained. We're going to close that. And we're going to offset this sketch. And offset it so it's just inside there. And then we're going to pad it. And we're going to pad up to a face. Pad to that face. And there are my standoffs. Now, clearly, if I turn on the lower box, you'll see my standoffs are actually too big. But we're going to parameterize those so that they fit perfectly and hold that lid, essentially. And then we want to have a standoff that holds it away from this lid or from this box. So you want the lid to stand off a little bit so we got an airflow between there and there. So we're going to try that. We'll just create, I think, 4 circular standoffs. It doesn't matter if they overlap that, so I'm just going to do that. And they're not going to be as tall as these, so it'll have to be a new sketch. So let's do that. Same plane. And I'm going to flip that one more time so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to create 4 circles. Overlap that edge. Like that. They're all going to be identical. Dimension, I think around 6 millimeters. And then we just want to move them. They're going to sit sort of here, I think. Like that. So we can use the same technique for that to organize these guys. So I'm going to take my same technique. It really doesn't like drawing a line on the picking at that guy. It seems like if it's round the other way, it seems like it doesn't want to do that. I don't know why. Seems odd, but picking the line seems odd. Picking the point seems much easier when you have it aligned the right way around. Shouldn't make any difference, but it does. Okay, so we're gonna hit that one. We're gonna hit that one to that one. And that one to that one. And then we're going to do some alignment here. So we're going to say this one and this one are centered around that guy, and this one and that one centered around that one. It didn't love me. Let's try that again. That one. That one. This one. I don't think it picked them again. Let's get in here. We can see that what's happening is that dimension is giving me grief to pick that point. So I'm just going to do that one more time. Now I think I got them. There we go. Perfect this. And we can just give this a dimension. This a dimension. And we are constrained. Say OK. And now we will create those lugs. Oh, let's not do that yet. Let's offset these to where they need to be. It's going to be there. And we're going to say to a face. That's what we want to make sure. If that face moves, we're always to that face. So there we have it. Now it will fit on there, and that will stand it off from the box. And then all we need to do is parameterize all these dimensions similar to the other dimensions, and we should have our box lid working exactly as we want it to work. What I'll probably do is put some chamfers on these edges, but I'll do those at the very last. That way when you put the box on, it'll get on easier. And let's just take a look at, I'm going to turn the lower box on into my wireframe one more time. Just have a look and see, does everything look like it's lining up? Yeah, I think we got that right. And then I'm going to go into top view. And we can see that these holes are not quite where I want them, or these lugs are not quite where I want them to be. I want to put them over on these corners, but again, we're going to do that with parametrics, and we're going to do these bits here with parametrics. And of course, we're going to do the outside, the shape of the actual box with parametrics too, or the box lid. So let's do that next. And again, I'm not going to make you sit through all that because it's going to take a little while. I will just go ahead and do it, and then I'll walk you through all the parameters I put together. Thanks for watching part 2. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can watch part 3. And in part 3, we're going to complete this project. We'll have the box, the lid, the PCB, and it'll all be fully parametric. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I created a new community called CAD Beginners. And what I've been doing is I've been collecting posts that I think are interesting and cross-posting them here and creating some of my own posts as well. The weather and just some general information, just bringing it all together. I'm more than happy if you want to join in there and join that subreddit. It's called CAD Beginners. And if you join the subreddit, that's another good place for us to communicate. So Again, thanks for your support. I appreciate it. We did just turn 11,000 subscribers this week, so very pleased about that. And thanks for watching the videos. And if you are interested in seeing more, feel free to subscribe. We could always do with more subscribers. You can join our Patreon, or you can become a member of the channel. And the links are below. Thanks again. See you in the next one.